Something really interesting happened at the UFC Houston post-fight press conference with Sean Strickland, and something I've never seen before, and that is that the UFC actually cut the mic from Sean Strickland before he was able to finish his media availability after his win over Anthony Hernandez. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because he kind of swears a bit, but I do have some people that talked about what he was discussing on Twitter, so we'll get to that in a sec, but here's just a little clip. You'll see exactly what happens here. His mic gets cut off, and even Strickland himself goes, "Oh, I'm getting cut off." UFC doesn't normally do that, but let's have a watch here at this clip here, courtesy of Home of Fight via the UFC.
Like, who's really entertaining in this division? So, oh, that's a wrap. Anyways,
yeah. See, even they put that Sean mics get cut off. So how the mics work with the UFC, press conferences, because I've been to plenty of events, is the mics directly, like all the audio that you see on their video is tied into the microphone. So the microphone's cut off, you get kind of that dead air like you're hearing right now, right? So he's obviously talking to the media. I wonder, there must be some reporter that actually got what he's saying here. I'd like to hear what he has to say, but yeah, not super surprising. So this is what Strickland was talking about. So I'll read what Adam Martin has. Benny P actually has a longer video. If you guys want to watch it, check out Benny P, one of my favorite follows on Twitter here. But here we go. He says, Sean Strickland, this is from my buddy Adam Martin. Sean Strickland just went off on Fluffy's coach Jim West for allegedly grooming Aspen Ladd, and UFC PR came in and stopped his post-fight interview. Wow, I've never seen this before. So Adam, right about, so Strickland was going off on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez's coach Jim West. He is dating Aspen Ladd. There is a big age gap there. I don't know the deal with that relationship or anything like that. I'll just state that right now. I don't want to say anything out of term or whatever. So Strickland was saying some stuff, but obviously the UFC, I think, knew where this was going. Although you see this clip here, he starts talking about like who's entertaining in the UFC, and he gets cut off there. Right before I showed you that clip, he's talking about Chimaev, and maybe he had mentioned a particular mountain animal and talked about Chimaev and what he might be doing with that mountain animal, like all that stuff. So you kind of get that Strickland was saying a lot of things that were out of line. And listen, Dana White, he defended Strickland at UFC 297 when Strickland obviously said some controversial things. But this week was really interesting because, obviously the UFC is with Paramount now. Some of the comments that he made in the pre-fight press conference made their way to like a big outlet like Variety here. You read the comment here. I was actually going to do a video on this, but didn't have time. But it says UFC fighter Sean Strickland goes on about a sexist, homophobic tirade about Bad Bunny, Ronda Rousey during MMA League's media day, which is, it just shows you how out of touch they are. MMA Leagues, just say UFC. That's like saying like Kleenex brand instead of just saying saying tissue brand instead of Kleenex. Everyone knows what the UFC is. During an MMA League's media day, no one gives an F about women's sports. This guy goes off, and you got to sign up, I think, to read it. Oh no, they have the rest of it here. So, it's you say, you know what Strickland said. If I play it here, I'm gonna get censored or whatever. Look, I think Sean overdid it a little bit this week. I don't want to go into the political stuff he said. That's not what this channel's about. But a lot of people were really upset with Strickland, and I can tell you just from checking in with people over the last week, I know the UFC's not too happy with Strickland. Now, saying that, this did get a lot of attention. I did notice people were kind of tuning into this fight a little bit more. So while I think Dana White, is very much, again, free speech and all that, he's also got to be a little bit happy about the attention this is getting. But I think also at the same time, UFC's not too happy, like I just said there, about some of the stuff he's saying. This is not the type of attention they want. They want attention, but they don't want this type of attention here as well, because they haven't really pulled Strickland back other than tonight. And even then, I think Strickland just knows he can get away with it. And from what I've been told, he has been told in the past to like tone it down. And maybe that's not the case, but I think that you can read the headline here. Sean Strickland went on a bigoted tirade. Take you guys read and hear what he has to say, and you guys can make your own judgment here. I think, if you heard Strickland's, and you know what, maybe we can, well, no, I don't want to play it because I'll get it booted off YouTube. I mentioned this on the Stock Report, but I thought Strickland's post-fight speech after he beat Anthony Hernandez tonight was very good. And this is a thing that I hear a lot at Extreme Couture, where Strickland's actually like a good teammate, good guy. I think some of the stuff he does believe, I think it's sensationalized a bit. I think Strickland does it to get the attention, like I just mentioned there. And I know there's a lot of people who are kind of tired with the act, right? I understand all that. Same time, he's a fighter, he's got a mic, he's got a platform, he should be allowed what he's got to say. But I think there's got to be a fine balance here between some of the stuff that Strickland said and some of the stuff that the UFC is going to allow him to say, right? Like, nothing wrong with speaking out on maybe something you're not a fan of, but it's the way you deliver the message. So you're not getting, articles like this. So that's why I think this week was a little bit different. And I think that's why they stepped in and done this, because again, I've covered, I don't know how many UFC events, 30 plus UFC events in my career. I've never seen them cut a mic off anyone, unless it was the choice of someone like wanting to leave and cutting their thing short on their own accord, not the UFC actually doing it there. So I think they've pretty much had enough with it. Again, obviously Dana White's not at this event. Maybe if he was there, things would be different. I don't know. But, yeah, very interesting to see what happens. But this will be a big talking point going forward after this event. Like, it's actually kind of bad for Sean in a way, because, he had a really good win tonight. I mean, talked about this in the stock report. Like, this has got to be one of his best wins that he's had. I mean, obviously, Adesanya is at the top. This is right up there. Main event, you go out there, you get a dominant performance. Very good. But people are going to be talking about this other stuff. Now, I am curious with the fact that they cut his mic off. Are we going to see is Sean Strickland going to get in trouble? That's one thing I do wonder now. Again, if you go back and look at UFC 297 and the post-fight press conference there, Dana White kind of fired back at a reporter saying like, look, we don't police what people say, but Strickland's been pushing his luck. Let's be honest. Again, I think some of the stuff that Sean says is funny. I think some of the stuff does cross the line. So I'm not someone that's saying like, you got to censor all the fighters, but I do think he's pushing his luck. I don't think I'm alone in saying that, right? Like that's certainly a thing that's happened. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if anything sort of goes on here. I'm also curious to see what Strickland has to say. Strickland also, I should mention, has been tweeting a lot about certain things like he normally does. And I don't know if the UFC's actually, I mean, look at the following he has. Like that's not an average amount of followers for that as well. He even addressed some of the stuff he said. He said the left cancel Sean. He said a bad word. You all act like a bunch of children. So this is what I mean, because he's allowed to do this type of stuff, right? So the whole thing was Strickland went off in the halftime show. So I guess I can read, I don't even want to say the name. NFL used to be the standard of being a man, which I think he's entitled to his opinion. I think it's just the way he delivered the message. Because he's not the only one who was upset with how the NFL did the halftime show. Me personally, I don't care about the halftime show. It doesn't bother me personally, but he should have the right to talk about that. I think it's the way he delivered it that obviously irks some people too. So, yeah. Like, I hope Strickland doesn't get in trouble. I think I think there's some appeal to some of the stuff he does. I think he needs to tone it down a bit, but I think some of the stuff that he's talking about is stuff that should be allowed to be discussed. And again, he's not a politician. I don't know why people want to hold him to that standard, but that's just kind of my thoughts on it. But yeah, very interesting to see what happens here. But he's got to be careful too. Like some of the stuff he's saying, like people can sue you, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like if there's no proof, well, then what's his name? The jiu-jitsu guy is suing him. And he didn't even say anything that bad about the jiu-jitsu guy, Derek Moneyberg, right? So we'll see if anything comes out of this. He actually said the same thing about Tiki Gozan as well, using the same sort of talk there, talking about him. So Strickland no one's safe from Sean Strickland, I guess is the point I'm trying to get across. But yeah, something to keep an eye on, guys. I wanted to do something quick on this because, again, I think this is gaining traction with this new Paramount era. Are they going to be censoring people like Sean Strickland? I mean, there isn't really anyone else like Sean Strickland in the UFC, but I do wonder if there's going to be repercussions. So let me know your thoughts in the comments about everything that was said. Yeah, just want to get your thoughts on all this. Again, I think this will be a big talking point this week. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and by the way, I'm dressed up because I had to work the Cage Titans event tonight. That's why I'm not doing this. I don't normally dress up on these reaction videos, but just happened to catch me on a night when I had to do some work. So there we go. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.